Hello everyone and welcome to Awaken Thyself. My name is Moses and today we're going to take you on a little journey. Today's journey is going to be a little history on electricity and the power grid and really when did power lines start being used in the world. So really in the early 1800s or the 1880s, electricity competed with hydraulics, steam, especially coal gas, and a lot of that stuff was like the gas lamps produced poor light, wasted a lot of heat, made rooms hot and smoky, and they gave off a lot of hydrogen and carbon monoxide. They also posed fire threats and hazards. So in the 1880, electric lighting soon became advantageous compared to gas lighting. So really after the war of currents is really when all of this stuff came around. The world of the currents was really the fight between AC and DC, because the early system, like around the 1800, they had their first arc street lamp right here. This is the arc lamp or the arc light. It is a lamp that produces light by an electric arc. The carbon arc light, which consists of an arc between carbon electrodes in the air, invented by Humphrey Davy. In the first decade of the 1800s was the first practical electric light. It was widely used starting in the 1870s for street and large, and it finishes out there, but so they're talking about, it doesn't really come until the late 18, almost early, like 1900s, but this is a little bit about electricity and everything. So really I wanted to see when the first power lines. All right, so it says the first transmission of electrical impulses over an extended distance was demonstrated on July 14th, 1729, so they say, by the scientist Stephen Gray. The demonstration used damp hemp cord suspended by silk threads. That's pretty cool. So, however, though, the first practical overhead lines was the context of telegraph. So really it was only telegraph overhead lines. All right. But by 1837, it ran about 13 miles. So those telegraphs, the early telegraphs about 1837. And it was used about till 1840 until a better system became widespread. It says the electric power transmission was accomplished in 1882 with the first high voltage transmission between Munich and Milsbach. 1891 saw the construction of the first three-phase alternating current overhead line on the occasion of the International Electricity Exhibition in Frankfurt. Okay, so this one here is another site that I was on. This one is some answer drive, and this one was, when was the first power plant created? And Edison had the first power plant in 1882. The New York City Edison Aluminum Company builds the first power plant in Pearl Station. So that was in 1882 was the first one. Then this talk a little bit about power, and so they say building upon Franklin's work and many other scientists, which they leave a lot of people out. Electricity began to understand more of how it works. So it says here, for example, in 1879, Thomas Edison invented the electric light bulb. So remember that, 1879, Thomas Edison invented the electric light bulb. Okay, so then let's see here. By 1880s, his light bulbs could be used for up to 1,200 hours. In 1879, electric light brush arc lamps were first used public street lighting in Cleveland, Ohio. So electrification gradually happened from around 1880 to the 1960s. So as late as 1960, some places didn't even have electricity yet. All right, so let that sink in a little bit there. And this is also another cool site I saw. This is really why I was like, I need to go back and make this video. Because here, This is a really cool site. It talks about, the DC direct current powers dominated in 1870 and the 1880s. Small systems were sold to factories around the world, both in urban areas and remote undeveloped areas for industrial mining use. Okay. And then it says Thomas Edison and all these guys, Charles Busch, Warner von Siemens, led the industry. DC powered factories, small downtown areas. So DC system power factories and small downtown areas, but it did not reach 95% of the residents. So 95% of the residents didn't have electricity. Electric lighting was a luxury. It was a luxury, guys, only in hotels and other businesses, as well as in the mansion of people like George Westinghouse and J.P. Morgan, and I'm sure in North Carolina it'd be someone like the Vanderbilts and some other people here. Let's see here. AC power provided the solution to distant transmission. AC also had provided a solution to interconnect generation sites. The development of three-phase AC power system in the late 1880s provided the effectiveness of system and electrification of entire cities, regions, beginning in the 1890s. So beginning in the 1890s was when people started really getting electrification. And this is a really cool picture here. Look at this hot air balloon up here, maybe gathering some free energy. Is that some free energy device coming down? I don't know. That's a weird picture. But this site here is Edison Tech Center. And this one here has a little timeline of really when powers started coming out. So again, 1882, New York City power plant. Okay, the station lit up 400 lights and served 85 customers at first. Okay, so they only served 85 people in the 1882. In the last video I made, they made that mental institution in the 1883 supposedly. None of those rooms had lights, they were all candle. The timeline, it just doesn't really make sense to me as far as all of this stuff here. 1886, Burlington, Massachusetts, the first full feature AC power distribution. This one here produces up to 500 volts, or it produces segment generator Edison incandescent lights, 500 volts. So it's all different cities here. 1895 Niagara power plant. And they talk about little powering across everywhere. And then they give, all these guys, they give recognition to the power. Yeah. So really, that's really why I wanted to make this video real quick, guys, was more of the fact to bring to light when overhead power lines really came into effect. So in here it says 1912, the first 110K overhead power lines came in service, followed by the 220 power line in 1923. So, and then this talks about in American 1953 is when the first high voltage, so big power, was put out in the United States. So yeah, guys, it's really just the question, the timeline of power and these buildings being constructed, the massive height of some of these buildings, and really the electrification of them. A lot of them actually have areas where they would collect free energy, is what we've been seeing and coming to realization to. So I hope you guys have a good day. That was a quick little brief overview on electricity and the history of electricity and when overhead power lines, when we actually really started using power. So yeah, guys, look it for yourself. Just question everything is really All I can say for you guys, awaken thyself. That's just how I see it. And thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you guys like, subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comments below. I have quite a few more videos coming out shortly in the next couple of days. Thank you, and have a great day, guys. Peace.